seisoen het gedraai, 'n ander kleur in die lug, 'n ander wind wat waai teen die berg, het die son nou 'n kleur, die gras is brosser, daar's 'n kug in die weer.
Precarious resources are systematically felt most by their lack by poor people. So we're interested in the way in which water, energy and food, although essential for life, are unequally distributed, and what it means to live precariously among people who are marginalised or excluded from much of the workings in society.
I'm Lenore Manderson and I'm the South African lead of this project. I'm Distinguished Professor of Public Health and Medical Anthropology in the medical school, but I've worked for the last decade or more also at the intersections of the environment and art.
Refusing inevitability, resisting technocratic foreclosure, and insisting that justice remains central. My name is Eileen Moyer. I am the co-lead of this project on the Dutch side. I'm at the University of Amsterdam and I'm a professor in the anthropology of climate change and health.
We decided to call the conference and exhibition Agitation after a lot of thinking about how to focus it, and it worked out wonderfully in terms originally of the multiple meanings of agitation, of the role of NGOs and the role of lawyers and human rights discourse.
Our transition from knowledge to action needs to begin by our own recognition of our complexity, or the complexity of our being.
Obviously, agitation is also what's happening at a global level in relation to climate change. It occurs among governments and between countries. And I've been surprised at the way in which people have taken up agitation as a language to talk about resistance, lobbying, advocacy and more at this meeting.
There was never just food to them. The women framed food as a relational good to be earned, shared and treasured.
There is limited access of wealth resources, which deepens youth disconnection and erodes their opportunities.
This intervention not only aims to improve food security, but also try to change people's perspective, especially the youth, that they don't always have to depend on the government to alleviate poverty.
In disaster studies, we really talk about the unnaturalness of a natural disaster and trying to disentangle this idea that disasters are naturally occurring events.
So these dynamics produce everyday uncertainty in residents' energy lives.
Maybe it's also good to say something about how, from the start of this project for us on WEF, we've felt as if there was a need for social scientists and artists and activists to agitate around this technocratic concept of WEF and the idea that you could solve the problems of water and energy, food, only through technical solutions, which is often what we find.
We come to the water to be nourished, to drink from its palm, to quench the soul's thirst, a communion between the mortal and the eternal.
You imagined yourself buoyant, and fair enough, you were. I cannot deny that you were buoyant, you did float. It is strange to me that the water let you.
And simply opens its silent mouth to create such a flowing toward that all our human definition is shush.
Soms dink ek aan seisoene, soms dink ek aan jou, soms dink ek aan planete wat aanhou en aanhou. Seisoene gaan oor afstand van die son, soms ver, soms naby, as ons maar net kon.
So we wanted to bring the social into that. We wanted to bring the everyday into it. We were quite surprised at how little discussion at the WEF meetings we attended there was about issues of climate change and issues of justice. And as Lenore says, people really took that up. So all we did really was invite people into the space who maybe have already been agitating in society and ask them to think with us around this topic.
I want to agitate.
I want to really agitate first for us to turn away from normalizing politics.
The people were coming at very different angles to issues around water, energy, justice, the environment, climate. Everybody over the last 3 days, from people from the President's Climate Commission through to community activists, and that includes the mural artists the other day who were quite extraordinary.
We've recorded a moment in time depicting our experience of water and our perceptions of water, energy and food today. And we try to make it look as though it's almost like embedded in soil, like it's been unearthed from researchers in the future.
My piece is quite personal to me because if you can see this is a human being. I portrayed more the energy on the heart, on the mind, because it really affects people mentally and it affects their heart, because by the time the electricity goes off, the system doesn't know what to do in their time.
My piece is about our relationship to food in our current society, the way that we are kind of becoming more and more detached from our food. We're so familiar with food coming wrapped in plastic from a shopping center. I feel like we can't nourish ourselves properly without being more closely connected to our food.
My piece is about the illegal connections that are happening here in South Africa and the beauty behind it. Sometimes there's beauty hidden behind all of that struggle. I chose a snake because a snake, there's a term we call here, is nyoka. It's nyoka. It means illegal connection. I made the snake go around all over the painting because basically it's illegal connections, so it's connecting like everywhere, even with other pieces also.
My piece is about the eland skeleton as a sacred animal for the Khoi people and a symbol of hope. Someone told me that it's called the provider because of how big it is.
My piece is actually about saving water actually. The very same water that is scarce is somehow commodified and then it's been kind of like sold to people when already people struggle to have. That's why I symbolized it as a piggy bank and a tap pouring water inside the piggy bank.
This piece is about the transatlantic slave trade. I have connected the theme of water with the waves, and the ship to describe the repatriation or the coming back of those who were taken from diaspora.
With the background, we're trying to connect what's happening inside as well in the origin center. We tried to make the soil differences and we used earthy colors to show the different types of soils. And then with the circles, it was kind of creating pie charts that show water, energy, food, scarcity.
I do want to again thank the university for its incredible tolerance actually, because it's not the first time where I've declared I wanted to paint part of university property and to have a reaction that went like, oh, all right. There's a great openness in this university. I just want to take up a tiny little bit of space, which is to reiterate that nothing in this whole space would have been possible without the work of a large numbers of people.
Soms dink ek aan seisoene, soms dink ek aan jou, soms dink ek aan planete wat aanhou en aanhou. Moeg vir seisoene, moeg vir die weer, gee my grys in die lug wat verandering kan keer. Soms dink ek aan seisoene, soms dink ek aan jou, soms dink ek aan planete wat aanhou en aanhou. Draai om sonne, draai om sterre, draai en draai vir altyd, draai vir nou.